before we really get into the match, I just want to quickly say that I like the chat that we have going on here. It's really nothing important, but they're just doing crosstalk and going on about the event and how to get the premium time, stuff like that. And there are so many times where I think people forget that we're all playing the same game. You know, we're temporarily on one team or the other, but that person could just as easily be on your team or you could be on their team. So you know, have a little bit of compassion for the other players. And so it was nice to just see them saying, you know, hey, you know, you'll get the event. It's easy. Don't worry about it. That kind of stuff. But back to the actual match itself. This is the mech that I chose to use for energy damage farming. I mean, not that I really needed it because, as I've said, there's
New target acquired.
the energy objective, you know, 2,500 energy damage. Sometimes it's as much as like 5,000. Sometimes it's low as 1,000. It just sort of depends on, I think, what they feel like having us do for that particular event. But the energy objective is just basically always the easiest one to do. But I still wanted to go ahead and use this mech for it. I got this mech as part of the last event, and I've really had a lot of trouble finding a good build for it. The problem is basically the geometry of this mech makes it extremely squishy. It just has parts that stick out everywhere, so no matter what you do, you're going to take more damage than you would on other mechs. Now, this is a 65-ton mech, which means it's, in terms of armor and structure, it's identical to my Hellbringer, but it takes so much more damage that it just dies very, very easily. So I was trying builds with, you know, autocannons and missiles, and those just weren't working as well as they should have just because of the bad geometry on this mech. And my own piloting, of course, is always a problem too, but the geometry was just making that worse. So I decided to go back to ye old laser vomit. It's still fairly different compared to my Hellbringer because I've got pulse lasers rather than heavies and extended range lasers.
Acquired.
It does help in that it makes my damage more pinpoint. And if I'm not mistaken, it's more heat efficient as well.
Acquired.
Target spotted.
Another suicidal guy? Alright.
I think the typical build for this is actually 4 extended range mediums paired with 2 large pulses. But I wanted to see just how hot a pure pulse build would be.
Acquired.
And after playing this whole match, I have to say that, I mean, yes, it does run hot, but I don't think it's unmanageable at all. I think it's probably fine. And since I've already got, you know, the Hellbringer, I want to have something that's different. So unless I find something else that works for the Jaguar, I might just go ahead and stick with this.
Target spotted.
Heat level critical.
I'm still hoping to find something else that does work better. It's just that since it dies very, very quickly, I'm having trouble finding anything that works for it. You know, laser vomit really lends itself to squishy mechs, just because you know you have to be in that habit of shooting and then retreating to cover over and over.
Heat level critical.
One thing you may have noticed is that throughout this match, I'm dealing far too much team damage. I just made the mistake. So I've played so many matches where I was just getting torn up in this mech, and so I was trying so hard to stick with my team so that I was not the primary focus for anyone, or at least, you know, as rarely as possible.
Target spotted.
And so I was just really hugging my teammates just far too much.
Heat level critical.
So here you'll see I am running a bit hot, so I have to resort to firing single lasers. And it would have been fine, I think, had this mech been fully skilled. I mean, I've barely got any skill points in it. You know, I think I have just enough for survivability. I'm pretty sure I don't have any in operations yet.
acquired.
But the enemy team has done a pretty good job of making sure I don't have teammates left to shoot, so I'm now kind of
New target.
able to get better firing angles. But at the same time, again, I am, someone's focus. I kind of wish I had stuck with this dire whale in front of me and just taken off that side torso to remove half its firepower. But I was pretty damaged in the center torso, and with the way this mech hitboxes work out, the CT is where you're going to take a lot of damage. It's got this very big nose that sticks out in front. The Marauder chassis also has a great big nose, but it's very narrow, and this mech has a big nose while simultaneously being very wide. So oh yeah, I think that's the one time that I overheated. But so you'll take a lot of CT damage on this thing. Now here it still looks like we can do this.
From behind, dude.
I mean, we're up 1 kill. Well, now we're even on kills.
New target acquired.
And I probably should have tried to focus fire with my teammate, but my idea here was to take the pressure off of my teammate by focusing on the guy who was moving up the hill to go, take him down. I mean, the Stormcrow is a smaller mech, so I thought I would be able to at least take off a side torso, because it's, ready to pop, as you can see.
UAV activated.
But my fire is just never quite accurate enough.
Hot setup.
And I mean, had I not stopped there, I could have been fighting longer, but at the same time, this was pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. So I still did alright. A couple of kills, 757 damage, 6 components. So this has definitely been the most successful build I've had for this particular chassis. I'll keep looking. I kind of want to try something maybe with LB10s, but for now I'm going to stick with the Laser Vomit, and this definitely did its job of farming energy damage for the event.